welcome to our second Real You webinar. All right. To start out with, we wanted to share a little bit about ourselves because, you know, we feel like everybody already knows us because we've been talking about it on maybe different platforms about who we are, but that doesn't mean that whoever's watching right now knows who we are. So that's how we're going to start today. Okay. Yeah, and I guess I just start. So I grew up in Austria as the youngest of 5 children. And then when I was 21, I actually went to Australia for a month to visit my friend. And I was so fascinated with the country and everything, and my poor English back then, it's improved a little bit over the years. I was so impressed, and I went back home and I was like, I have to get out of here. I really need to see some more and get some more experiences, because until then I only thought, okay, I work now in this safe or in this really secure government job that I will have now for the rest of my life if I choose to. And I just didn't want to. Like, thinking about that made me so miserable. And so I quit the job. My parents were really upset. They were thinking, oh my God, what are you doing, Isabella? You know, you had it made and now you're like leaving this country. So they were not very happy with me. And I just needed to follow that inner, I don't know, that yearning of experiencing other things. So I came to the US, and for probably the first few years, I had a little dictionary with me in my purse all the time. Because that's how bad my English was. And I have to say, it opened really so many doors. I was talking to Wade earlier, and I told him when I came, I was an au pair, so I stayed with a family and I took care of 2 to 3 kids. It depended on who was home at the time. And the mother watched a PBS special about Dr. Wayne Dyer, and she ordered a book. And that was the first time that I heard of, oh, what is the power of intention? And not that I really got into that at that point, but I already had this opening of, oh, wow, there is more than everything that I learned of working hard to make money or earning money, and you know, you like this the mindset of always having scarcity, and you know, that being scared all the time. Like it gave me an opening into something more. And then, you know, it took again a few more years for me to figure things out, but I think there was a very, I think being open-minded, maybe I've always had it, I'm not sure, but I was just always so curious about other people and how they grew up maybe, or why don't they see it this how I see it, kind of thing. So I'll leave it there, but just a little something from me and where I come from.
Well, my name is Leanne, and I am the oldest of 4 kids. I was born and raised in Canada, in Manitoba. And my family has always been not the conventional, like in a traditional business, like it has never been like that. I grew up in a family where there was lots of different businesses. My grandpa had a welding business. My dad had his own business. My mom and dad had multiple different types of businesses. Some of them were MLM. My mom did dog grooming. She started her own dog grooming business. So I was always very much surrounded with a different type of mindset. You know, the whole follow your dreams and it was taught to me. And because of that, my dad always had books, lots and lots and lots of books, and he still does. I mean, they downsized quite a bit over the last few years, and he still has more books than me. So that just goes to show you how many books he has. But it was actually because of my dad that I got into all of this stuff. One of my first books that he ever gave me was by Dale Carnegie on how to win friends and influence people. And he just would keep giving me books to read. So I was open to a lot of these concepts at a very young age. But I am also a strong believer that you will receive what you need to receive as you need to receive it. And so being, I guess, really, I got really strong into it only about 3 years ago, where I started to actually connect the dots and everything. But even prior to that, I had read a book on how you pray and how you ask for things and how you can receive them. And I was pregnant at the time, and the book was about having pain-free and really any type of labor and delivery that you wanted. And I really liked the thought of not having a very painful, long labor and delivery. So I followed the book. And seeing that that was something that I had seen my parents do, it wasn't really hard. You literally just read it and do what it says. And that's what I did. And I was able to have 5 pregnancies and 5 labor and deliveries where they were all very quick. I didn't have one pregnancy I didn't have one labor that was longer than 4.5 hours. And they were all very enjoyable, not very much pain at all. In comparison to what my friends have been telling me about theirs, I would easily do it 100 more times. I just had a really good experience. And I have to say that a lot of that had to do with the mindset that I had learned from some of these books. And so that's how I got really into mindset and mindfulness, and then also I have been surrounded my entire life with individuals in my family that are living with mental illnesses and have dealt with mental health issues, and it was my norm. So it didn't occur to me until I got married that there was anything different than living with that. And once I was introduced to the opposite of living with mental illnesses, I realized that there is a different mindset to it, and then that fascinated me in how that correlated with moving forward with my own children. And so I started to do a lot of awareness around that, and reading and research around that. So that is a bit of a where I am at and where I came from.
Nice to connect with people that have that same drive and interest, and it creates a good space for all of us to be able to share this kind of stuff. Hopefully other people, as they join in, will also be able to tap into what we're bringing to them and feel safe to share that. For myself, I grew up in Minnesota, and I currently live in Wisconsin, but it's like 15 miles. I'm right along the Mississippi River. And let's see, I grew up and had a great childhood, for the most part, I really enjoyed sports. That was my thing. Nothing was better than just to kick, throw, or hit a ball somewhere. But the downside was that I struggled with reading in school. And so once I was labeled with a reading disability, I kind of shut down. So I just pinned everything into athletics. And so that's part of what molded me, I guess, is that and it still drives me this day, is that my identity became something that I wasn't. So then when I was injured or taken away, I would drop, and so it was all about being an athlete rather than being complete in yourself. And so that was kind of the challenge that I had been confronted with. I did go on and made it through college and was able to realize that I can do and I can overcome, and it was kind of a growing period. And after I got through with college competing, then I competed afterwards in marathons all over the United States, and at that time I was starting to go into the workforce, but I also wanted to train for the marathon and see if I could make the Olympic trials. So that was something that was kind of going both ways, but my life was running, and then it ended up where I couldn't figure out what to do for work, and I found something that I was interested in, and it was an opportunity to take the little bit of money I had and start up a book business to sell books to schools. So then I did that for 20 years. So that's kind of where I grew that. So that personal development came with, okay, I can do this. If I put my mind to it, I can do that. And so then that's where that growth came. But what happened to me was, at a period of time, I started to realize that money it really wasn't what I wanted to do. I wasn't fulfilled in the fact that I was quote unquote successful. It was more, I was watching or listening to personal development, and then I think it was Wayne Dwyer probably that I crossed paths with. He was interviewed by Tony Robbins. Then I slowly faded from personal development to spiritual side of things, and then my love for kids, I never had that when I was like in my, let's see, early 20s, but late 20s, all of a sudden it changed. I felt a connection to kids, and had a couple boys of my own, and then now I find myself kind of going full circuit back, where we can bring that spiritual side of it and the personal growth and the kids together, and then some of the experiences that I can share down the road that seem to be very parallel to what we're trying to teach, and how we can help with mental health. And I guess the key word for me is the letting go is one of those things I'm trying to learn, and I've had some growth to it, but I think there's a lot of value to learning that you don't completely steer the ship, or for the most part you really don't. You do your best to point it in the right direction, and then ride the wave and kind of work from there. So I guess there's always more to share, but I think that gets us going.